Hello. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, okay. Great. Okay. We can begin with the round. Before we start, let me give you a brief. So today, basically, we'll check up on your basically fundamentals of OOPS, Python, and bit of React as well. We'll give you like few questions, problem solving questions. The goal is to basically just to see how do you approach the problem, and yeah, how well do you communicate a thinking process. Should be fine, right?
Yeah, sir. Sure.
Okay, okay, great. Also, one thing, please don't call me sir. If I start with basically, let's say, oops thing, how much have you used object oriented programming before, or yeah, how much have you been uh, yeah, basically well versed with oops concepts?
Well, basically, I am familiar with the OOPS concepts, like mostly whatever the main concepts like polymorphism, inheritance, and stuff, abstraction, encapsulation are. So I do know the theory, and I've actually applied it them as well. But
Hmm.
they are mostly on the the programming side of my theoretical applications. So mostly when it comes to applications, they are it is only a fraction of those get actually get implemented into backend systems.
Understood, understood. Okay, so let's keep it a bit practical enough. Before we begin, though, can you just give me like a brief of like what is your understanding of the main principles of object-oriented programming? Like, what is your understanding of encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction?
Yeah. Basically, polymorphism is basically when you talk about object-oriented programming, we talk about polymorphism, we talk about inheritance, we talk about abstraction, and we talk about encapsulation.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, they are also called as the four pillars of OOPS. Now,
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about polymorphism is basically when a function can take the same function takes up multiple forms. Basically, it can have more than let's say I define a function that is function greeting. Now, greeting can have a variable,
Mm-hmm.
basically a variable that will be passed as input. Now, one of them can have, or there could be two functions with the same name, but they can have different variables with different types, and will be called based upon the type, like based upon the type of the invocation. Invocation. Basically, when
Mm-hmm.
you call the method, whatever type of the input you of so basically that is also called as runtime polymorphism. If I am correct,
Mm-hmm.
I might be confusing. Yeah, we also have compile time polymorphism. Compile time is basically when the when the functions are you also have like firstly we have like different variables and like different types of variables. Uh, should I go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and actually explain you a
Sorry.
bit? Should I write the example also?
Yeah, works if it's helps explaining better, it's fine.
Okay, yeah. In polymorphism is right. Okay, so uh, I'm not writing the actual boilerplate, but yeah, if let's say define just resume fine yeah. Now it takes in an integer with functions. Returns environment two. Yeah, so that, yeah, we can also have the same method. So not actually we can also have So basically, the first, the first find square method, like it will be actually like calling the function, and the function will be returning the integer squared. And
Mhm.
the second one takes in a different type of arguments, and that is returning something completely different. So they have just the name same, and their entire working can be different. That is what
Mhm.
polymorphism means. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, I might be messing up with the types and stuff. Yeah, that is the code of polymorphism. When we talk about abstraction is basically when we are trying to hide the core implementations of a class and only reveal some details. So that is what
Mhm.
abstraction means. So basically, we actually do it uh, in order to to hide the complexities and actually make the code more readable as well sometimes. And
Mhm.
encapsulation is basically grouping functions together and calling them encapsulating them. And which one is the meaning? Encapsulation, polymorphism, inheritance is basically child relation. So basically it's one common class and parent class,
Mhm.
and parent class can have different attributes, and these can be inherited by another class. Basically that is also called as the child class. The child class inherit everything from the parent class but can also modify those things. So that is the uh, main logic behind it. So basically inheritance is used when you want the entire working of some other class, but you also want to modify it in some way to create your the next logic. So yeah, that's what my understanding are.
Okay. Okay. Fine. You just gave me example for the polymorphism, right? Which also reminds me, like, are you aware about like what method overriding or method overloading is?
Yes, actually method overriding and method overloading both are actually the same as compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So
Mm-hmm.
basically method overloading is basically when the number of parameters increases. Overriding is basically when the entire method's implementation changes. So basically let's say we have a function that multiplies two numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say now, when we can have the same function as the same name, but here it can take three arguments instead of two, and it will multiply the three and return it. So basically, we increase the number of parameters, but the core logic remains the same. But when we say about method overriding, we can have the function with the same name, but it does something different. The parameters can be the same length. I think
Mm-hmm.
so.
Okay. Okay, should be fine. But let's say if we talk about inheritance, does overloading requires inheritance? And same for overriding. Does overriding requires inheritance, or without inheritance should be fine for in both cases?
So basically, you are asking if method overloading and overriding actually require inheritance, right?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because method overloading and overriding can be actually they are just methods that are implemented inside a class. So let's see, if I name a class def multiply, and I have two functions. Fine, let's say def multiply. One of them takes one argument. One of them takes two arguments. One of them takes three arguments. Now I don't need to make another class for these two functions to work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so inheritance is needed.
Okay. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. Never mind. Be fine. Uh, okay. You have you came across like something called access modifiers before? Like, are you aware of like what they are?
Access modifiers. Well, I've heard the term, but
Maybe you would have heard something like public
okay. Yeah, yeah, I've heard
private.
it. Public,
Mhm.
private, and like public we have private, and we have protected. So basically,
Yeah.
public is when when the implementations and of a particular class can be accessed by all the children of the children of that class, of the methods of that class, and basically by any like method. Now, when we say private, the private methods can be accessed only by methods that are defined inside the same thing.
Mhm.
Protected is when basically I think basically when the class is a like we also have a friend class something, but yeah, let's not go there. So basically protected is when we have two classes. One class is inheriting the another. Now this inheriting class can actually access those, so it can have protected features.
Mhm.
So we
Mhm.
use that when we want to control uh, what section of the code can be accessed by what other classes in the same program.
Mhm. Okay. 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 Should be fine. Uh, I'm assuming you would use Python for your normally as you're working on mostly ML stuff. Python might be your primary language, right?
Yes.
Uh, do you use constructors in Python?
Constructors, like, I don't use them a lot, like mostly.
But you're aware like what it is and when it is called and sort of.
Yeah. So basically, when we want to call a method of a specific class, we make a constructor.
Mhm.
Uh,
Okay.
Also, we invoke the class name and we create an object, and that object can be called by a constructor. I guess something like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. It should be fine. In that case, can a class have like more than one constructors?
Class have more than one constructor. Yes, it can.
Okay. 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 No worries. Should be fine. Uh, since we have touched the topic of Python, are you aware like what are exceptions in Python? Like, uh,
Yes.
yeah, can you just give me a brief?
Basically, okay. So basically, when we want, when we talk about exceptions, we talk about the code structure of try, except, finally.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when we have written a basically a inside a function, basically a logic is written, and this logic might break sometimes. Basically, when the inputs are like when we don't have the input is not given, when the inputs type is different, so we get exceptions. Let's say sometimes we also have null exceptions. Basically, when the yeah, it's a zero division error exception, something like that. We also have those. So basically, when such circumstances actually happen in the program's flow, we write those exceptions in the except block. That whenever these exceptions occur, the program should not halt due to an error, but those errors should be handled with grace. We talk about the
Mm-hmm.
finally block. That no matter what happens, you have to execute this code at the end of the day. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the program, that function, like no matter what happens, whatever exceptions you occur, like you don't have the exceptions, you always execute the code that is written in the final block. So basically, it's the try, except, finally. Also, we have catch. Catch is
Mm-hmm.
errors.
Okay. Okay. Can we catch like multiple exceptions uh, in one execution?
One execution. Catch multiple. But I think if you actually like, usually we don't actually catch multiple exceptions, but we can, I think, using just a comma, and we can name the exceptions and catch this. I think.
Mm-hmm.
But usually we
Okay.
just I usually catch one exception at a time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. Should be fine. Uh, have you heard something called shallow copy, deep copy before?
Yes.
Can you explain like
So
what is your understanding?
basically, yeah, shallow copy is when you actually like just copy the contents of a particular variable or a particular contents. Now,
Mm-hmm.
actually gives the reference to that particular variable or an object. That is
Hmm.
what the shallow copy and the deep copy are. It's basically what you are copying. If you are copying the context, it will be shallow, and if you are copying the like the reference, it will be deep copy.
Hmm. Okay, 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 fine, should be fine. Like what is the difference between a iterator and iterable? Can you explain?
Well, basically, iterator is the variable which iterates over the iterables. Iterables is basically you can have a data structure. You will be iterating over that using an iterator. I think that makes sense.
So sorry, I did not hear the answer.
Okay. Okay. So
Is there
basically,
any? Mhm.
iterables is basically the actually iterates on, and iterator is basically what it the thing that actually iterates over the iterables. So let's say we have in C++, I am remembering this concept. We have auto IT. So basically, auto is you know basically like it can have a different any whatever the iterators type is, it will be inherited. So yeah. So basically, the point is, whenever we choose an iterator, we actually over a time actually access it and then modify it accordingly.
Okay, okay, should be fine. Uh,
Yeah.
you might have used yield keyword, right? Before?
Yeah.
Like, can you explain like what does this do and what is it used for?
I don't actually remember the use case of the yield keyword.
So sorry. Can you repeat again?
I was saying that I don't actually remember the use case of the yield keyword.
Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. Have you heard about generators before?
Generators basically like they are kind of a function that actually generates the variables. Um, maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay, okay, no worries, no worries. Should be fine. I mean, you're on the right track. Right? They are the functions, but they return an iterator basically. So, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. No worries, should be fine. Uh, okay. You mentioned you mostly being ML heavy. You're doing ML heavy work. Have you used React before, or maybe learned basics of it, or sort of things?
Well, I've learned about state. I've learned about props. I've learned about like yeah something like that. But mostly I don't actually code in React. React is not my primary framework. I actually let the like you know like Cloud Code or Anti Gravity actually do the
Hmm.
front end part. So I'm
Understood,
more of
understood.
a backend guy.
Okay, okay, makes sense, makes sense. Uh, okay, we can keep it basics itself. Can you explain like what do you think your differences between processes state? Like,
Yes. Basically, props is basically like it's kind of a properties that's passed to a function, and these properties are immutable and they cannot be modified by anything. So that's what immutable means. And when you talk about state, state is what actually enables the re-rendering of anything within the DOM. So basically, whenever state is something dynamically changing, like its values change dynamically, and whatever
hmm,
values it takes, that is what actually triggers the like re-rendering of the DOM.
hmm,
That is what state means, and we actually use state all across React. We have the use state and the hooks as well. So basically, hooks are and state is basically which actually allows the DOM to change. So anything.
hmm. Okay, okay. Okay, okay, fine. Uh, uh, okay. Let's say I'm writing a small piece of code. Uh, uh, and yeah. You see this piece of code. Can you tell me like what is happening over here?
So basically, it's a user file. If I'm correct, it is called something like hooks and stuff. It's related to that. Now, what
Mhm.
it does, it basically takes an argument value and will change the value, increase the value by one, and will set the state of that. So basically, the state is actually storing the value.
Mhm.
That's what I am in further.
Okay. Do you think this will like keep rendering infinitely?
Infinitely. Well, at some point, like it has to break. If it renders infinitely, basically the DOM will break at some point.
Hmm.
It
Okay, okay.
has to have some kind of limit. We actually don't use something like that.
Hmm.
Like basically, if it is actually incrementing the value, so it has to like be controlled by something else. So basically, a limiter kind of.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Uh, okay, okay, okay. No worries, should be fine. Uh, I think yeah, that's it. Uh, you must have you're aware like what memoization is, right?
Okay, the DP one.
Yeah, I mean in general memoization.
Basically memoization like is storing basically a value and reusing it when we need like the same task. Well, basically if we are performing the same task over and over, the values can be stored and reaccessed so that the logic like you can reduce the time complexity using that.
Okay.
It's one of the techniques used in dynamic programming.
Mhm. Okay. Uh, so my question is like basically, can you think of any scenarios where using of memoization can hurt your performance instead of optimizing it?
Not your performance. Yeah, the simple use
Mhm.
case would be that whenever you are actually implementing a function that is not actually recursively calculating the same value but doing something different every single time. So now you are storing a value that is never going to be used. So you are wasting a lot of storage space, and that this can pile up like infinitely if it is not called. And in this case, that it actually hurts the performance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We only use
Uh,
it when we access the function to perform the same task over and over, and then some part of that can be actually used again. So it's actually kind of like when we are calling the Fibonacci function or something. So basically,
mhm.
we are gonna reuse the values.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay. Any other scenario you can think of?
Any other form of memorization? Well,
Maybe so what memoization does is it adds overhead, right? In most
yes,
cases. Uh,
storage overhead.
yeah, correct. So in that sense, can you think like when do you think adding an overhead is can be not that wise decision?
Storage overhead. Well, basically, it's like, I mean, the one is,
Again, this question doesn't have a right answer. I just need. I'm just trying to uh, get to bring out what do you how do you think. That's it.
okay. So basically, memoization has just two features. Like it will like trade off space for to save some time complexity, because to avoid you from recomputing the same thing. Now,
Mm-hmm.
circling back to the what I actually mentioned, like firstly, if the problem at hand actually does not require you to recompute values, then this could be a failure. But it can also be a failure, like if we actually have less space in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we are not short of our time and we can actually time for the space, and let's say the system that we are developing is actually like much constrained environment. Let's say I'm deploying a backend service and on render free tier. Now
Mm-hmm.
if I do scale over a large scale, that would actually crash my entire system. I want the system to be a little more complex. I don't want the system to crash. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Okay. 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 Should be fine. Should be fine. Uh. Okay. I think that should be it for this as well. Uh. Okay. Putting a question on the screen. Let me know if you can read it. Yeah. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions for this.
Sorry. So, should I write the code for this?
Uh, yeah, we can discuss the solution as well, and then, or if you prefer to write the code itself.
Okay, so basically the inputs we are given an array, and we have to return the reverse wave. Now reverse wave here that we pick an element and we find we pick an element, like that's the first element, so it's
Mm-hmm.
at odd position. Now we want to pick an even element. Now the condition for the even element is written here. Yeah. So even position should be less than or equal to their adjacent elements. So yeah, I cannot think about an optimized solution, but if I actually think about like of a nested loop structure, then this problem can be solved easily. Yeah. So basically, elements at even position should be less than or equal to their adjacent elements. So we go through the array, yeah, input array, and we find the element that is less than or equal to the adjacent elements any, and we just place it at the second position. Then we have an odd position. So we have an even odd flag that will keep changing, and
Mm-hmm.
at each step we'll go through the array and scan the remaining items and pick an element that satisfies the it takes in an input of array. Yeah, so
Do you need any help here? Like, are you stuck at somewhere?
no, so I'm just like trying to implement like what's the logic in my head. Like I ask you for help.
Mm. Okay.
So I've written the logic or like that I had in my head. So basically, I'm using a for loop. Now I
Mm.
will like first I'll populate the result with the first element. Now I wanted to scan the remaining array. So basically, I accept the first element to actually check if the condition satisfies of odd or even. If it is odd, the condition is if it has to be greater than or equal to the adjacent elements. Now, since we don't know the element that we are gonna pick later, we are only comparing with the previous element. So I did that.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I think I lost your voice.
Okay, so yeah, I was saying that like I've written the logic that I had in my head. So basically, the for loop and the comparison of the even and odd conditions. Like there are just two conditions. Like
Mm-hmm.
for each element, we just have to scan the array and pick any element because the answer can be in any order. And if it is satisfies the conditions, then we can have that answer. So I started with
Okay.
the first element. Then I put a flag, and if the flag is true, if the flag is true, then it is odd. Then if it is odd, then we compare it with the previous element in the result, and it should be greater than or equal to. So if the current element is greater than equal to, then it is the possible solutions. And when we update the current index to the element.
Okay. Can you dry run the first input example which I've given? Uh,
Okay, yeah,
the 417326.
yeah. So first we have will be like putting 4 into the result. Now
Hmm.
we have written 4 in the result, then odd is equals to false, because now
But
we are
uh, before we put 4 into this is empty, right?
yes.
So if this is empty, this will crash, right?
Okay, 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 okay.
You can append, but
Yeah,
allocating will crash, right?
not will. Yeah, this will actually. So yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are appending the first element.
Hmm.
Now, 4 is the result. Now we have 4. Now we are at the even index. We are finding for the even index, that is the second index. So
Hmm.
current index will be 2 and odd will be set to false. Now we are gonna go from current index minus 1, because this is the like zero based indexing like loops. So we are gonna go from 1, basically the first element, 1 to 6,
Hmm.
basically the length of nums.
Hmm.
I think it should be length of nums minus 1. So we are gonna go from 1 to 6, and then if it is odd, if the odd is equal to true, or it is odd, I think they both should work. This the same thing. Okay, yeah. So basically, what I meant is, if the condition of odd, if the flag is true, then the nums I basically is greater. Then we are gonna find 1. 1 is not greater, so we
Hmm.
skip 1. Then we go for the second element. We go for the 7. 7 is greater, so we put 7. Then now the result has 4 and result has 7. Now result
Hmm.
has 4 and result 7. Okay, the result 1. So we can't okay. Okay, yes, I think this loop might pick duplicate elements as well,
Hmm.
because the way it is I've written it, it doesn't guarantee that whatever the input space I'm using, if I'm taking the first element, then I'm going through the array and picking one element. Say I picked 7, then the input still contains 417326. So now I have 1326, but it will go from like the next loop. If this condition is satisfied at 7, then it will start from 3.
But will this condition be satisfied ever? Because we're keeping odd as false, but in the loop we are never toggling it to true. So odd will always be false, right?
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's result is let's yeah, yeah, false. Yeah, this is the toggle part,
Hmm.
but it will still okay. So if the odd is, and we are checking this condition,
Hmm.
like for now the odd flag is false. So we are gonna so basically we have to find the second element, and it should be like the even element. Uh, less than or equal to that. So we are gonna find the first element that is less. So it will be four, one itself. Four and then one. Then all will be two.
Mm-hmm.
Four. When it becomes four and one. Now it is as one. Then the odd condition will be true, and the odd condition is true.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if the odd condition is true, then the first if condition will work, and if this condition works, then we'll find the greater element. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, so I think I cannot work with the the original input array. I need to have a data structure that I can actually remove the values from
Okay.
to avoid duplicates.
Uh, to avoid duplicates, can't we just increment the current index, the current end? Can we just cannot just auto increment it in the loop itself?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what I'm thinking is, if it is at
Mm-hmm.
four, four,
Mm-hmm.
that index will has to be incremented as soon as we pick
Mm-hmm.
the current index plus equals one,
Mm-hmm.
and the other. So now by one, then okay, thing incremented by one, the current index will be index is three. That will start from the second element.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for now it works. But what if we are selecting an element like let's say instead of one, we have selected three, and
Mm-hmm.
now one is not selected and three is selected, but the current index will start from seven and will again come to three and will pick it. So that's what I
Which
was
is
thinking.
fine, right? We need three in that case, right? We don't need one, right? One will be
No,
omitted
no,
anyway.
no. I'm thinking if
Mm-hmm.
four is getting picked first, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now current index is equals to three, and the loop will start from the second element. That is one.
Mm-hmm.
Start from like 0 dot 3 minus 1. Yeah. Start with 7. Let's say it picks 3. Now, if it
Mm-hmm.
is picking 3 instead of 1,
Mm-hmm.
just assume it is picking 3. Now, if it is picking 3, then the current index will be incremented by 1.
Mm-hmm.
Current index will be 3. And the loop will go to the second element.
Mm-hmm.
0, 1, 7. And it will take again pick 3.
I think we are out of time now. Yeah, I think it should be fine. Uh, we can go ahead and close the call for now. Uh,
Okay, sir.
Before we end, though, do you have any questions? Anything you would like to ask to me? Anything?
Yes, sir. Firstly, I would like to ask you like the feedback, like what is I issues you have found out in my preparation gaps. So I wanted to get a concrete feedback which I can work on.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I don't think you lacked in a lot of things. Just few things I would say is practice of the problem solving. I think yeah, these few nuances can be ironed out once you have a lot of practice under your belt. So yeah, I think that's it. I think your communication is good. Your fundamentals are cleared. a little bit of practice will take you a long way. So yeah, I think apart from that, I don't think I have anything else to give feedback as of now. So yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, any advice like for the beginners starting out in the tech industry?
Uh, I would say, I mean, you're using. I'm assuming you're might have used setting up agents and using them proactively, right? I think yeah, that is. I would say this is how everybody's shaping. Even at Facebook, we are shaping in that way and sort of things. So yeah, I think molding yourself in that way. What used to happen is normally the if you have like let's say 1 or 2 or 3 years of experience, only DSA was used was asked in interviews.
Yes.
But now they have started creeping in a system design as well, because system design is where the core lies, and then you can go ahead and set up agents, uh,
Yes.
make a swarm of agents, and let them handle it along the way. So yeah, I think I would suggest that not just only focus on DSA sort of things, just try to get how the system works and these things, because once you enter these techs, let's say you're working for startup or any fan company like us, no matter like what you experience, you might have required to own a feature from the get go. Which can be tricky because first you used to get like 3 or 4 years of time to uh, basically own a feature and take it 0 to 1. But nowadays the tools have made it accessible. So yeah, these things are much more expected than the junior devs as well. So I would say I'm not trying to scare you again. I'm just trying to tell you that just keep an eye on system design. These things, these might not be asked in interviews as well, but this might able to help you to shape your already say which you're doing, or any kind of full stack dev which you are trying, or even in ML as well. Yeah, these setting up systems will be a crucial skill for beginners, which you anyway learn when you come into the organization. But if you are being prepped with it, then it will be much more easier for you to onboard and then take ahead your journey. So yeah,
Okay, sir.
yeah.
That is actually quite good. So basically, like I'm much more adept at system design as compared to like multiple design. So like both ways, like the two step and the cursor and yeah.
Yeah,
Am I
now,
audible?
yeah, now
Yeah, I was saying that I'm focusing right now more on system design than on actual problem solving and like actual coding stuff. So that is
mm-hmm,
why I'm actually kind of losing like my grip on coding and fundamentals and syntax issues as well.
mm-hmm,
So yeah, and when it comes to system design, I'm actually kind of invested more into that. So basically, I just pick a random system that I want to develop this, and I
mm-hmm,
want to develop this within a week. Now I
mm-hmm,
prepare, like I think how engineers might develop it under pressure, what
mm-hmm,
how load it is going to handle. So basically, I was developing a microservices based application. So I had tried to understand what microservices is, how every database can be isolated for each service, and
mm-hmm,
how each API can connect with each other. So
mm-hmm,
like those kind of things are actually much more interesting than the syntax for me. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
but I need
But
to
again,
figure.
I'll say that these things are helpful once you are inside the organization.
Yes,
Currently, DSA is what, or even your clean coding practices and your hold on algorithms is what will take you inside. So I agree. Designing systems and making them making the architecture is much more interesting than doing DSA and the syntax sort of things. But yeah, फिलहाल अब जो पूछ रहे इंटरव्यू में वो तो क्रैक करना ही पड़ेगा. So yeah, I would say currently keep an eye on these things, but focus on things that will get you into a good organization. Once you are in, then you are free. I think yeah, you can just ditch the entire syntax thing, because who who even checks syntax in the era of cloud code? But yeah. So yeah, but yeah, focus on things which will just get you in a pretty good organization, and once you're there, then you can always elevate in whichever way you want. So yeah,
okay, sir. Thank you so much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Anything else?
No, no, sir. That's it.
Okay, okay. Before we end, so like, do you have any feedback for me? Do you like anything I could improve for next interview, or something? Question wasn't descriptive enough, or anything else? Anything you would like
No, sir.
to change?
It was actually like a kind of smooth process. Like you actually first understood like what my background is, and then you started from the basics, and you took one step at a time, like checking what the candidate is actually like good at, and asking those
Mhm.
questions, and actually like improving through the call itself. So that is actually a good thing. So I don't see any like kind of like bad thing I have noticed in the call. So yeah, all good.
Okay, I'm glad you felt like that, Ashok. Okay, then I think that should be it. We can end the call.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
bye bye, man. All the best.
Bye, sir. Thanks so much.